Welcome back to another episode of the aX-m podcast. As always, I'm your host, Nahded. Today I'm joined by a 3-year Twitch affiliate. His name is Jeremiah, but you may simply refer to him as CaverJay. Brother, thanks for being here today. Kind of tell people, kind of tell all of our listeners a little bit about who you are as a streamer, what got you into streaming, and tell us some of the games that you've been streaming, whether it's in the past, and what we look forward to seeing you stream in the future.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. It's good to be on the show. So I stream over on Twitch. You was under the tag of Gaming Caver for a while, and I'll start with explaining the whole thing behind the name. Is because I do go caving. Caving used to be a big integral part of my previous job, and now it's just something that I do as a hobby. And the fun fact is also where I met your gracious host. And so I did that all for a long time. But the thing is, like, a lot of my friends that I game with, and especially in game comms, and while I'm streaming, they'll call me Jay, or I'm in somebody else's stream and they're calling me Jay, and everybody's like, "Who the heck's this guy?" You got Gaming Caver in the thing, but you don't got a Jay, and I'm the one that kept answering, so I had to change it up. And one of my other friends is like, "Dude, just call it CaverJay." I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's a stroke of brilliance." It's like, we'll go with that, and it just rolls off the tongue easier, and I enjoy it. Everybody else seems to like it. So there's that. As for what got me into streaming in the first place, so going back like several years now, I was just browsing YouTube for just whatever, and I actually accidentally came across a Tim the Tatman video.
Right on.
And I was like, who the heck is this guy? This is awesome. So Twitch that TV. Yeah, this is talk about a first introduction to the platform, right? And so I watched a bunch of his YouTube stuff and could never catch a live stream. And then finally I was catching a live stream and I was like, oh man, this is awesome. And then one of my friends decided that he was going to do it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll support him. And so I started watching him, and it was kind of one of these moments, a little bit of competitiveness. It's like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And it was also, I loved the idea of creating content. Like, I didn't have honestly, it came down to patience to edit stuff like for YouTube, because that was going to be my original thing. Is, well, what could I do for that? Because I think that'd be fun. But streaming became a thing where I don't have to edit everything. Everything just happens live, and I could do all this sort of fun stuff, and I could talk to the people and actively engage with people, which is probably the most appealing thing about the platform to me. And as a side note, funny enough, I'll actually be starting to put YouTube videos together to aid the growth of my channel. So much for getting out of editing.
That's
but
okay.
yeah, and as for the games that I normally
stream, hit you pretty hard about not making videos and content on YouTube later on. So we'll get to that point. So just hang in
there. We as for what I'll stream over on my channel, generally, honestly, it is a variety. So that's a hard question. But these days I'll be streaming a lot of Diablo 3, and also working my way through the Destiny 2 season. Those are probably my top 2 games. But I'm usually, if there's a new game come out, I'm usually open and willing to give it a try, or maybe we'll throw in a nostalgic piece like Mass Effect or even Stardew Valley, whatever. Just kind of depends on what the community's feeling.
What's a game that's coming out soon, or maybe this year, that you're like, I want to stream that game?
Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay. All right.
I don't even care if I get a single viewer. I just want to play that game, and I'm going to spend a lot of time playing that game, so I figure I may as well be live. But Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had a conversation.
And later on this year. And
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and speaking of, and the thing I saw a trailer for today, I checked THQ's Nordic. This tweet is 2 days old. They're remaking Kingdoms of Amalur.
Oh, that's sweet.
I don't know if you've ever played this game, but I'm super excited because. So you know the game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I flipped out. So it'll I'll definitely probably at least one. I usually for like new games, I usually numbers are usually pretty low, but I usually at least stream it at least once, just so I can say, guys, look at this, and I'm all excited, and people like to come in and watch me nerd out over stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I totally 100%. I completely understand what you're saying. I had the first podcast that I ever done on this channel. I interviewed his name's Splurky. You can go check that out on episode 1, and we spent like the last 10 minutes of that podcast kind of um, fanboying over a game that we used to play on Xbox 360. And I don't know if you've ever played it. It's called Two Human. Are you familiar with that title?
I've heard of it.
All right. So I made the comment and I was like, look, snip this section out, send it to the developers of Two Human, and I'm telling you right now, if you drop Two Human 2, I will stream that game for at least an hour to 2 hours a day for the rest of my gaming career if you release a second version. And I stand by that because I love that game. I spent more hours on that game than any other game. And just to put in perspective, I had like 38 days worth of game time. No, I probably had more, but I know I had at least. Actually, it was probably close to 60. I probably had close to 60 days worth of game time in COD 4, and I played Two Human probably double that.
That's not surprising to me.
So like that's the game for me. It'll never happen. It'll never happen.
That is honestly incredible.
Right? So
it's honestly, it probably won't. That's honestly, well, here's the thing. Probably never say never, because THQ Nordic was essentially like kind of folding up the Kingdoms of Amalur project. They left the ending open for potentially a sequel. It never quite happened. And the material was essentially going to be dead. And now they're coming out and being like, we're going to make it better. We're going to update the graphics, and we're going to keep some of the original voices, and this is going to get an expansion. And I was like, what?
Oh yeah, well, you never played Two Human, but just go to YouTube, search like all the cinematic trailers, like all the boss fights, and then the ending, and it set it up. It was basically what it was. It was like a Nordic, it was like a Nordic game. There was like Thor and Odin, and it was like a Greek mythology lore, and it was like mixed with like cyberpunk, and it was a dungeon crawling game where you had to like fight the bosses and keep going through it and playing it over and over and over to get the best gear. And it was a fantastic game, and they set it up for a Two Human 2, but I forget, there's some legal issues, and it disappeared. And I would stream in a silk robe slash kimono for the rest of my life, and specifically only play Two Human 2 if it came out. But with that being said, Diablo 3, you said you were going to start streaming that more now. What did you think when BlizzCon released that Diablo 4 was going to be a game that was only going to be on your phone? How did that make you feel? How did that make you feel? I know this is an old topic, but I've never had the opportunity to ask you. So let's just go ahead and pull out all of that pent-up aggression that you've kind of pushed down, along with all the other Diablo community players.
I'm gonna tell you what,
including myself.
Gosh, that's a dangerous move to try to unearth a lot of that regression. I'll say this much.
Oh, happy early birthday, by the way. That's a good place to insert that.
Yeah. The pinnacle moment of that BlizzCon for me was when the red shirt guy basically just destroyed that guy with his questions.
I love when the creator,
I think
one of
that
the BlizzCon
perfectly
creators was like, you all have phones, don't you? And we're like, who gives a shit about the phones?
Like, if the crowd wasn't lost before then that was the moment. Like, that was the moment. Like, the last remnants of holdouts like just for the sake of giving Blizzard hope and the benefit of the doubt, we're now officially lost to this man.
Gosh.
Because of that statement. And not only do you see, and here's what's funny. Fast forward to 2019 BlizzCon, and they redeemed themselves with the actual Diablo 4 announcement because the company was going to get burned down if they didn't, more than likely. There's a YouTuber, a streamer that I follow a lot. His name is Riker, and he got to play kind of an extensive hands-on, or not so much extensive, more time with a hands-on demo of Diablo 4, and he said that there was more stuff in the triple, the big release demo. He said that, wow, this is more fleshed out than Immortals was at BlizzCon. Like because he tried Immortals out, and then he also tried Diablo 4. And he's like, this is more fleshed out than Immortals ever thought about being.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I was like, that was the pinnacle of laziness.
Like, what's going on
God.
with Blizzard right now? Like, they're just in a bad state. Like, if they didn't have World of Warcraft, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't even be a company anymore.
World of Warcraft, the hype around Shadowlands is helping them out. The Diablo 3 seasons that was also a genius move by them. Like, specifically the season themes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was when a new flavor started getting added to a close to 10-year-old game. Was the season themes. Like, that's the whole reason I come back to seasons anymore. Like, initially I was just like, let's just see how far I can get into the regular seasons, know? And that I like the RPG grind and stuff, and that was fun to me. But you can only do that so much before you're just like, and then the season theme started coming out, and I was like, oh man, like last season, bar none, the most fun I've ever had in a season, because you play Diablo 3, correct?
Oh yeah, it's a great game. Love it.
Okay, so Kanai's Cube, you're familiar with what that is?
Uh-huh.
So rather than having a slot reserved for weapon, armor, and jewel, you could extract any equipment, whether that be weapon, armor, or jewel or jewelry, and put it in any one of the slots. So you could have 2 weapons and an armor, or 2 jewels and a weapon, and just mix and match Kanai's Cube. And as a wizard with an already OP new Hydra set that also got released last season, it was a lot of fun.
I know you used to play it, especially when it first came out, and I used to play it, and it really hurts me right in the feels about how much they've dropped the ball with Overwatch.
I don't like where this is going.
Overwatch, in my opinion, had the potential to be such a great game, and it got to it was really good, and then it seems like once Bridget became a champion, it was just a landslide downhill from there.
Man, I'll tell you what, the landslide happened well before Brigitte came into the picture.
Oh no, we don't give her respect. We call her Bridget. She's like one of these white Karens.
Bridget. Oh man. So here's what I'll say about, honestly, Overwatch even these days is not the worst mistake Blizzard has made. I'll get to the worst mistake, but as far as Overwatch goes, yeah, I agree. Like, the scene just became super toxic. The scene still kind of is super toxic, at least from my perspective. I don't have the patience for that. Like, if you're seriously going to trash on your own team,
go play League of Legends for about an hour.
If it's a proven fact. Right. Yeah, no. And that's the thing. Like, even if it's a proven fact that your team is garbage, like that you are actually the carry, even though this particular trash talker scenario is really rare. Like, if the trash talker actually is carrying the team, undoubtedly, then what good does it do to just unproductively trash it? Everybody just be stressfully indicate, no, guys, we need to go here. Don't go there. Come here. Don't do that. Be frantic about it, but don't be like, you're a piece of shit. Like, what the fuck? Why are you playing this character? Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you're garbage. It just, it makes no sense to me. And honestly, and if I have the choice to not deal with that, then I don't. Which is a fact that a couple friends of mine really can't seem to grasp. It was like, dude, like, come play Overwatch. I'm like, no, I don't want to come play Overwatch. Well, why not? Because you're wanting to do comp. Well, yeah, because comp's a lot of fun. I'm like, no, comp is not fun to me. Because comp is one of these things to where I am a good enough teammate to try to swallow my disdain for wanting to interact with these people, because I have to have comms on, I have to do call outs and all this other stuff and try to be a good teammate. And I open the door for these other people to be like, blah, 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 blah. Like,
yeah.
ugh, whatever.
Well, I've had games of League
Does it happen all the time? No.
where I go
But
like straight into the match. Like the match just started, we just loaded in. We're at like the 10-second mark, and then we'll have one guy just be like, "Hey, Nahded," like, "What's up? You're a piece of shit." Like that'll be the whole conversation before the game even starts. And I'm just like, this guy right here. And before
it makes
and you'll have
it
people
makes
that
no
like as soon as
sense.
the game
Like, I don't.
starts, it's just like open the gates, running it down mid, feeding the other team kills, like not even doing anything, goes to the middle of the map and dances and dies. Like the level of toxic in competitive gaming it's an all-time high.
It doesn't. It just. It makes no. It makes no sense to me. Like why people are like that. And I'm not coming to. I'm not preaching from sainthood as far as never losing my temper at a game or with people or with teammates. You know, I can't sit here and claim I've never called
Oh,
my teammates garbage.
oh
I've
no.
never, but I have also never done it to their face.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, trust
Like,
me.
that's the thing.
I've been in the
Like,
room when
off, like, Mike
when
is
we've been
muted, and I'm like,
playing
this person is trash.
a world when we've been running in like a World at War, or not World at War. I'm still on Call of Duty. When we've been running a WoW dungeon or something, and the tank can't hold aggro, and Jeremiah gets all angry at them. Or wait a minute, that might have been Steven getting angry at you for being the tank. I don't remember, but regardless, everybody's done it at some point.
I don't know what happened. If we were playing with Steven, if it was just us three, then yeah, I was running tank. And it was, I actually probably know which dungeon this was, because it was when you guys made me fast pop a
Yes,
dwarf,
yes, that's
and
it.
it was just at the end of Warlords of Draenor, and Legion was about to drop, and then we random queue a dungeon, and I'm like, what could go wrong here? I'm a brand new tank to this expansion. I don't know any of these dungeons, and yeah, no, I actually his gripes would have been valid, but what I'm assuming he didn't know was I was squeaky clean new to Draenor. Like,
And I remember I was a
because
mage, and you were a warrior, and Steven was
yep,
he was a rogue, and you've got him doing little rogue things like bleeping around the map, and then you've got me as a mage literally bleeping around the map, and then you've got your poor warrior that only gets like one heroic charge every like 5 minutes or something, and we're just leaving you behind in this dungeon.
like no, like there's the charge, and then I had a 45-second cooldown leap. Like, and at the
Oh,
time,
good
heroic
stuff.
leap. Here's the funny thing about heroic leap on warriors these days. There was a perk of it that was like that gave you increased movement speed after you used it. But there was another perk, I forget which one it was. I actually might still be the perk I use, but that's the only way it was viable for me. Was like, if I'm gonna jump, I at least want movement speed at the end of it, because that's all my mobility until I see an enemy so many yards ahead that I can charge to. But then again, if I'm already at low health, why am I charging an enemy?
Right. Well, sometimes you just gotta run it down.
Is dude, it was a hard knock life being a warrior sometimes.
So, what's your opinion, or rather, what's your hopes for Halo Infinite?
Oh man. Um my chief hope is that I get to play it, because I jumped over to the dark side and got a PS4 when the initial console decision came down. So I want to play it, and I also uh, want to get caught up with Halo, because didn't Halo 5 like that's a thing, right? This is how out of touch with Halo I am.
Well, we don't really talk about Halo after the point of where Bungie sold to 343 Studios or 303 Studios or whatever the hell they are.
So
Yeah,
you don't acknowledge.
Yeah, we don't acknowledge
You don't
the
even
last
acknowledge Halo 4, like
Halos.
the series got.
No. I mean, Halo 4 out of all of them, Halo 4 was probably the best one. But you know, we really hope that Halo Infinite kind of goes back to the roots. Like to my understanding, I think I read somewhere where they specifically hired a team that the only job for this content team was to go out and listen to what the fans wanted in a game. Like that was their sole purpose, was to figure out what we wanted as for a Halo game, and then for them to do it. So fingers crossed that we get a good game, because I miss the days when Halo was like the king of games. I need a little Master Chief in my life.
Yeah. I can sympathize with that, especially that last bit. Halo 5, when it came out, I know you don't acknowledge it, but I'm going to talk about it just for a little bit.
Well, we can acknowledge it
when it came out,
but after this podcast, we're going to kind of quietly
I never yeah, I never played it, and I haven't really seen a whole lot about it. But it was just one of these things that I looked at it and it just gave me this uneasy, not good feeling,
That's fair.
And at least with I enjoyed Halo 4. I'm aware that's probably an unpopular opinion, but I liked Halo 4. It was odd. I'll definitely say it was very different. But all in all, I didn't think it was bad. I know that, and of course, that's the problem though with the series that a fan base that you love so much as people love Halo, is you don't want to look at an installment and go, it wasn't bad, because I can also say the same when it was all said and done and all the bugs were worked out. I could also say the same, and this took me like some recollecting to get to this point. I could say the same about Mass Effect Andromeda. It's not bad. It definitely is not what it should have been, like in any stretch of the imagination. And that's a whole other tangent, and we're talking about Halo. So
talking about a game that didn't turn out like it should have been. Talk about dropping the ball on a potentially great game. No Man's Sky.
Actually, not where I thought you were heading with that. That is true, but they have since redeemed themselves according to a lot of things I see from that community these days.
I hope so, because when it first came out, I was pumped to play it, and then it was just an absolute crap show. I haven't looked into it since then.
First release, you should, if you're ever curious. I feel like I don't, because ultimately it's just kind of it. I don't play it now because it falls into the realm of not really my game. Because I have enough other games that I spend hours and hours in. That I honestly don't need to add another one, really, to something that focuses on things that I like, if they're included, like exploration and mining and all this other stuff.
Right.
But that's kind of like the main focus of No Man's Sky, along with the other stuff. I mean, it looks cool. It looks really cool now. They've had a lot of new stuff. I have watched some streams on it and have thoroughly enjoyed watching other people enjoy it. But it just falls under not my cup of tea now. No, the direction I thought you were going and the direction I stopped myself from going was Anthem, which is I blame primarily for the downfall of Mass Effect Andromeda.
Dude, you just touched a sensitive area bringing up Anthem.
Listen, I accidentally touched that area on myself as well, and at this point, it's like I'm not suffering alone. So
yeah, we're not going to talk about Anthem. We're not going to talk about Anthem. That's a podcast for another day. As a podcast
host, that is a wise decision. That is a wise decision, sir.
Yeah,
I respect the decision. Well done. Good restraint.
I want to keep these podcasts under 2 hours, and I have things to do later on, so I prefer
Yeah.
to do. I would prefer to do them
No
in a
kidding.
good mood. So moving on. Um,
Dude, side note, can I talk about what we're thinking? It kind of pertains to it. It's not going to be about Anthem, I swear.
all
It's not
right,
going to. It's like not directly. So,
not directly, he
I'll
says.
kind of a side promotion to another. Not directly. It's the reason for what I'm about to mention,
Okay, all
but it's
right.
actually not about Anthem. The I'm also part of a team, and I kind of a little ashamed that I didn't mention this earlier. Sorry, guys, if you listen to this. Part of a team called Har HQ, and we do some of our own podcasts over on Twitch as well. And we've had to dial back the schedule and stuff just because of life. But I also ran the gaming podcast show on it.
Mm-hmm.
And when Anthem became the dumpster fire that it was, that it culminated into being, I have people in my community that say, sometimes we just watch T-pop just for the J rant, and that was probably the best one you've ever done. I
I don't
apparently
doubt it. I
spent
don't doubt
a
it
good half an
one
episode
bit.
just ranting about it. Oh
Like I feel
man,
like I need a
there's a
stress
portion of it
ball
that's
right
clipped
now in
somewhere,
order to
and I
bring me
want.
back down.
But that's it. I'm done. That was the only thing. We can move on now.
I don't know if I can move on. I think you've put me in a hole now that
Oh
I'm
no!
just stuck
I broke the host. I
uh,
broke the host.
all right, we're gonna try. All right. Oh,
Okay,
dude, it's hard.
breathe, buddy.
All right. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. All right. Okay, let's kind of move into. All right, I'm good. Let's move into um, the reason that that I do this podcast, what the purpose of it is, and what I hope to pass on to you today to help increase your stream and decrease your followers, increase your subs, so on and so forth. So for those of you just tuning in, you're a couple episodes behind. Go back, rewatch episode 1 and 2. But you'll learn that the primary focus of this podcast is to shine light on streamers that are not really mainstream yet and to kind of pass along some marketing advice on how they can market themselves, how they can use social media platforms to grow their subs, to grow their followers, and hopefully the end game, which is what we would all love to see, is for each individual streamer that's truly passionate about what they do, whether it's streaming or maybe it's competitive gaming and you want to be a competitive pro or pro gamer or whatever. Uh, it's to ultimately monetize or end up making money doing something that you're passionate about. So let me ask you a couple questions about the CaverJay brand and you know a little bit about your insights. I'm sure you've looked into your insights on Twitch or YouTube, Twitter, all of your social media platforms. So start off by telling us what social media platforms you're on. Talk to us a little bit about your insights. And as what I mean by insights is where your majority of your audience is coming from. Are they tuning in from the U.S.? Is it Latin America? Is it overseas? Like where's the majority of your audience tuning in from? And just talk to us about the CaverJay brand.
Uh, it's the CaverJay brand is an interesting question. The kind of going back to the name was meant to set myself apart from a lot of other people because in addition to like doing the gaming, what I also try to introduce into my streams is kind of another view of life from another angle. And gaming is a great example of that because you go into these places that a lot of people have never seen, and half of those people, at minimum, won't be willing to go to or are unable to go to. And so I love telling these stories and just kind of showing, I'm not just stuck here. Like I go out and I do other stuff, and I get to just I live a good life regardless because of what I'm able to do. As for my insights, as far as like where a lot of my viewer base is from. Like it's US for the most part. I have had a few people from England. I've had a couple from Australia. I have a couple from Australia because they knew a friend of mine that I knew in Australia. A couple of other countries that I don't remember, but the majority of my viewership is centered in the US.
All right, right on. And what social media platforms are you on?
Oh, right. Just you can find me on Twitter. So
you basically
at
use Twitch
CaverJay.
and Twitter and Tweeter. You use Tweeter. You use Twitch and Twitter.
Yep. Tweeter. Tweeter.
Tweeter.
Now I'm gonna say it by accident. Yes, I use Twitter.
Right on. So basically, what I'm going to say to you is, and if you remember at the beginning of this podcast, I kind of mentioned I was going to end up hitting you about not, kind of branching off into other social platforms and putting content on them. And that time has finally arrived. So your YouTube is being neglected and it's sad. Your Facebook and Instagram is
My
also being neglected and is sad. Ring ring. If you pick up your phone, it's your YouTube calling, and it's sad. Feeling
my
left out.
YouTube is that like the channel is it's very much left out. I do have some content recorded though, and I've been making steps to actually get it on. So
All right, so let's
uh,
just start at the
if
top
we had this
here.
conversation a couple weeks ago, then it would have never been made.
Well, I'm here to help you, Jeremiah. So just hold on, because we're gonna get to the promised land.
Lay it on me.
All right. So how long do you stream on average? Go ahead, give everybody your stream times and about how long you
Three
stream per
hours.
session. So about 3 hours, and Monday through Wednesday.
Um,
Does that sound about right?
3 hours. Monday through Wednesdays. Yep, 7 p.m. to 10. Sometimes streams go a little bit over,
And
but
that's
it's a
Eastern
schedule that
time.
I've consistently maintained since January. Eastern time, yes.
All right. So you're streaming for 3 hours a day. Your Twitch for 3 days a week. So your Twitch content seems pretty sound. It's pretty solid, and you say it's consistent, which is great. So do you ever record any of your streams?
I do.
Good. So what I'm going to recommend is that you show your other social media platforms some love. You're showing Twitch enough love. It's time to show your other social media platforms some love. You're recording the content. So now you have video form. You have one piece of content in video form. If you take little snippets out of that video, if you make like a highlight reel or you make like a funny reel, it'd be like, oh, look at all these times that I messed up. You have smaller pieces of content with that. If you transcribe your podcast into an audio form, now you have another piece of content. And the reason I tell people to transcribe your pieces of content, especially if you view your insights, like a lot of games are more popular overseas than they are in America. Monster Hunter is one of them. And anyone that comes to me with advice on, kind of marketing themselves for Monster Hunter, I tell them, look at your insights. If the majority of your consumer base is overseas, like Japan or Singapore, Hong Kong, you might want to transcribe your podcast into their native language, whether it's Mandarin, Japanese, whatever. And most of those Oriental countries speak English, and most of those people speak English better than most of us. So it's not uncommon um, for them to already understand everything you say in your podcast. But if you create that content and you transcribe it in different languages, you have other pieces of content and you are appealing to those people that, maybe they don't know English. Um, and then each social media platform demands a different type of content. So, like, for example, the videos you put on YouTube, let's say you put a video on YouTube, it gets 1 million views and you get like several 100,000 likes. That video, if you share that on Twitter, it's probably not going to get the same reaction because the people on Twitter aren't consuming the same content that they would if they went to YouTube or if they went to Instagram. Instagram, they want this like a very short, simple picture. It's very aesthetically pleasing. Um, it's very eye-catching. Like that's what you get on Instagram. Twitter is kind of like a very well-rounded tweet or quote. It might have a link in it taking you to something else, um, but it's a different piece of content than what you're getting on YouTube or Twitch. And Twitch is it's a big player in the streaming industry by far, but YouTube is still the king of just content, like video content. So, you need to be posting content on your YouTube channel because you're going to reach an audience that probably isn't on Twitch. Now, there's a good portion of those people that's going to watch those gaming videos. They probably have a Twitch account, but not all of them do. So, you know, between the people you're leaving on table with YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, those could all be potential subs for you.
Oh yeah, the YouTube, I completely agree with. And so in the past few months, I've has been me making a concerted effort like to actually grow. And you know, the condition that I placed on myself at the beginning of 2020, this is before I knew that the world was trying to turn on
Trying
its
to
head,
end, right? Yeah.
was yeah, was I put I said, I want to take the growth of my channel like a lot more seriously. I want to set the schedule out. And again, the purpose of my schedule was to keep myself consistent and also because, balancing the other aspects of my life. And this is like the most effective way I could do that while still making the content that I enjoy and while still hopefully making it good quality for other people to enjoy. But I said 2020 was the year that I decide if I keep doing this or not. And I'm not crazy enough or naive enough or delusional enough to say, oh, by 2020 I'm making it big or I'm done. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I want to build something. I want to see something built that I'm proud of doing and that I'm happy to keep building on, however long it takes. But I want that progress that's viewable. I want to be able to see the growth that I've been able to do and see the growth that I have the potential to do by the end of 2020 for me to keep doing that. And I think I'm on a better track for it now than I think I've ever been since I've started streaming.
Oh, well, I mean, you're doing it, right? Like that's the first step is you have to do it.
Yeah.
So you're already winning. Now all you have to do is refine your skill set and improve the amount of content. On average, how much content do you like distribute per day? Like how many pieces of content across all of your social media platforms do you distribute per day? And we'll count Twitch as 1 hour
Uh,
equals one piece of content because I don't really know how to quantify Twitch as content wise because it's just a constant live stream. So we'll just say
yeah.
1 hour is well. Let's say
So
this.
that's the
Let's
thing.
say 1 hour is 5 pieces of content. We'll say that.
Well, and then even and you can even like I think probably a better way to quantify it, at least I think as far as like I would be concerned, is for the Twitch. I think, and you can tell me if this is a fair count or not. But for just the Twitch alone, like on base count, there's 6 pieces of content that I do for Twitch a week. That's 3 streams, and that's also the VODs of those streams, which are also still viewable on my channel. So if you've missed a stream, you can go back and watch the VOD. Don't know if you count those separate or the same. I'll
No,
let
no,
you
no. They're
be the
definitely they're
judge of that
definitely
one.
two pieces of
And
they're
then
two
as far
separate
as
pieces of content.
okay, so that's 6 pieces of content for just Twitch by itself. Um, if I have some clippable moments from Twitch, which admittedly I need to do better on getting, then generally I'll make a tweet showing the clip and stuff. So that's usually another piece, but it's not enough. So like I do not even my Twitter account that I will use more regularly. I still underutilize.
Hmm.
So I generally will try to tweet a couple times a day, and not just the basic advice of don't just tweet your going live tweets. I definitely, I don't do that. I used to be guilty of that. I'll be real. But I always try to at least tweet something. I take advantage of TweetDeck to plan out some tweets just so that way there's something out there. But definitely try to interact with people on it. And then, of course, the manually going through and checking out other people's stuff.
So let's just say on a good day,
But as far as like
you would probably say you probably distribute what, 10 to 15 pieces of content a day?
Yeah, that would be a real good day.
Okay. So I'm getting ready to throw you some numbers that may blow your mind. You ready for this? What would you say if I was to tell you you need to distribute content, at least one piece of content for every hour that you're awake on every platform?
Sounds a smidge overwhelming. I'll be real.
So I'm going to tell you right now, if you start, I will guarantee this, I will personally back this myself, that if you if you distribute at least one piece of content every hour that you're awake every day across every one of your platforms, your social media platforms, I guarantee you would become partner on Twitch in a matter of in probably a month from where you are currently right now. Now you're not brand new, you're not starting fresh, but for where you are right now, I guarantee you if you did that, at least that, you would reach partner in no time. Because the idea is that
It's a bold claim.
you're putting your content, okay, and this is, and you got to do it right. You got to be on all the social platforms. You got to be doing your live stream. You've got to be on YouTube. You've got to be on Twitch or Twitter. You've got to be on Instagram. You got to have a Facebook page. Um, you got to be on TikTok, and you got to be distributing content. It doesn't have to be top notch, movie quality content, but it's got to be content that your fans, your target audience, is willing to consume too. Like that's a big thing too. Is you got to know your audience, and then you got to meet your audience where they're spending the most of their time. So like, and it depends on the game too. So like, let's say for example you're streaming Diablo, okay, and let's say the majority of the people that watch you and the majority of the people that consume um, Diablo content. Now this isn't true, but let's say they all live on Twitter. Like if it's not on Twitter, they don't see it. Well, if you never post to Twitter, then you're like leaving all of your audience in the dark, and they have no clue that you even exist. And you're leaving hundreds, if not thousands, of potential followers on the table. So you got to figure out who your audience is. First off, figure out who you want your audience to be. Figure out where they spend their time, and then that's where you need to distribute your content. Now, that doesn't mean if everybody's on Twitter, you need to neglect the others. No, 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 you don't do that. But you put just a little bit more effort into the Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just about finding out who your audience is and figuring out where they spend most of their time, and then pushing out as much content as you can to get it in front of as many eyeballs as you can. And it's really not hard to get that content. If you did one stream for 3 hours and recorded everything that happens, I guarantee you could probably have 100 pieces of content in that 3 hours worth of stream. Because like I said, you have the stream, you have the VODs on Twitch, you have the full links if you do something cool, or you take down a boss in a record time, you do a speed run or something, then you have that piece of content that can go on YouTube. You can take segments out of each video. That becomes a piece of content. You can transcribe them. That's a piece of content. You have audio. That's a piece of content. You have different languages that you can put it in. That's a piece of content. Um, if you even if you deliver a tweet, or if you have a Facebook page And on that Facebook page, there is a reminder notice that goes out every day, an hour before you stream, and it just pops up and notifies people. That's a piece of content. Like, you're engaging everyone, you're getting them involved. If you send out tweets like going live in T minus 30 minutes, content. I'm live now, content. And there's no such thing as too much content, especially in the world where all we do is stare at our phones and scroll. There's no such thing as too much content, because you will scroll until your Facebook or your Twitter says you're caught up. Like, that's a fact. So there's no such thing as too much content. The more times you can put CaverJay in front of eyeballs, the better you'll be. And
That's definitely something that
I'll just say this real quick. It's not
this is
one
like
of those
just
things where
okay.
some people like you, for example, you're doing this part time. You're not a full time streamer. You're not actively trying to become the next Tfue or Tyler One or I'm a Cutie Pie or Reckless. You're just doing this because you enjoy it, and if you end up making it profitable, then that's a win-win for you. But I guarantee you right now, if I told you that you have the choice of, you know, being playing part-time and doing what you're doing now versus playing and streaming full-time and make triple, quadruple the amount of money you're making now, I'm willing to bet it would be very hard for you to turn that down, especially if you end up working
I would
less
not turn that
hours
down.
for more money. Exactly. So, the people that stream, the people that want to be competitive, like, they're doing it for a reason. They're doing it because they're passionate about it. And, even though you're only doing it part time, maybe that's all that you can afford to do it right now. Maybe, everybody has a life. We have other life duties that we're responsible for. But the fact that you make time to do it shows that you're passionate about it. And I am a firm believer of anything that you're passionate about and you're willing to put the time into, you can make it work and you can make it profitable and you can make a passive income living off of doing something that you enjoy.
Well, it's like, so I'll be honest. If as learning curves go, because I don't know how much of streamer Twitter that you see, but this is usually where I'll see a lot of it. Is I get, I'm shy, social anxiety or whatever, and these are these people that are like trying to do this stuff on camera and stream and be entertaining. Me personally, to just be a likable person, like whilst playing a game, whilst having a camera on me, whilst doing everything on my OBS, making sure my light's good, making sure my green screen doesn't have a wrinkle in it, though that last part sometimes don't work out.
True.
All that to me is the easy part, dude. It's a pain. It's so bad sometimes. All that to me is the easy bit. Only now am I getting to kind of the realization to where the YouTube needs to be the next one of the next critical things that I really need to be doing, because I'm not just seeking advice from you. I'm watching these other people give their advice, and a guy who I believe is like 100% like genuine and is real with his advice and has like given like very solid advice based on his own experiences from it, is a guy named Harris Heller. And he does Alpha Gaming is the channel, and he streams on Twitch. And not only that, but he also has some artists, and he himself is an artist, that he did a whole Spotify playlist of copyright free music for people to take advantage of.
That's awesome.
One of the tantamount pieces of advice, the whole reason for this spiel is, he said, you definitely need to get a YouTube or some, like, YouTube is like the best way for it, because you do not grow when you are live. And that like resonated with me
that's facts.
much, because he is absolutely correct. He is absolutely correct. And that's the thing, because I am not the only affiliate to get caught in that rabbit hole of I'm just going to stream all day, which is the other reason I went down to such a strict schedule, is because I need to give people right now, I can allot 3 hours a day for 3 days. I need to give people quality content for 3 hours for those 3 days versus 8 hours of just me playing games with the camera on.
Well, that term quality
And
is only it has many meanings. It's quality is different to each individual. So that's why I mentioned earlier about producing content that's meaningful for your consumers, because what you might find meaningful content, the people that watch you and sub to you, they may not. So, there's a book, all right? Do you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
I do not.
He has a book. It's called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And basically what it boils down to is the jabs represent, giving. You're giving content to your consumers, the content that they want. You keep giving and giving and giving, and then after you've given so much, now you can come in with the right hook, and that's when you ask for things. So in your case, it would either be ask them to sub, it would be asking them to tune in when you go live, it would be asking them to buy merchandise or to like you on Facebook, Twitter, to follow you on um, YouTube and Instagram. Like, it's about providing content that the people want. And because in the end you're getting what you want, you're still able to to produce content doing something you enjoy on a game you enjoy. Just don't get wrapped up in this thing of, oh, I have to produce this cinematic quality content all the time. Because, you look at these celebrities that send out tweets that's like, going to the bathroom, got to drop a deuce. And then they'll get like 45,000 likes and then like 100,000 retweets. So don't get caught up on the quality aspect, because quality is in the eyes of the beholder, right? It's in the eyes of the consumer.
Yeah, no, that's a really fair point.
As long as you're making content and people are consuming that content, you're good. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the best Diablo player. You don't have to be the best Call of Duty, League of Legends, World of Warcraft player. You just have to be entertaining. Some of the highest viewed streamers, they're just entertaining. Now, unless your objective is to go professional and be a professional gamer, you don't have to be the best. You just have to be entertaining and know how to appease your audience. That's the big thing. You have to know how to play to your audience, or you're not going to have an audience.
Yep. Let's kind of going back to playing to the audience, is kind of another reason why I'm making the decision to kind of focus more into Diablo 3. Because fun fact, that actually used to be the very first game I used to stream regularly was Diablo 3, and got my first kind of followers from that game. And then I branched out into some other games, and my viewership was never like sky high anyway. But still, yet I found myself wondering at the time, well, why aren't as many people watching me? Come back to you said, if I find it meaningful, doesn't mean they're going to find it meaningful. And here in just this past week, I started going back into Diablo 3 to check out the new season, and I've had two of my highest viewed streams
Right.
in 2 weeks.
Well, Diablo is a very popular game, and don't be surprised if you start streaming Diablo and you see on your insights that you're getting a lot more um, Eastern crowd. And what I mean by that, you're getting more uh, people viewing your stream from China, from Singapore, from Japan, because I think Diablo is one of those games that it's much bigger over there than it is here. So you could definitely have more people tuning in overseas, and that's when you can start thinking about potentially um, playing towards that audience and increasing your followers there as well. I want to touch on something that we talked about just a few minutes ago with that. I forget the name of
What's
the
up?
streamer, but what you said, he made the comment, "You don't grow when you're live." And for those listening to this,
Oh yeah,
what he says by that is, if you get let's say you get about 5 or 6 subs that are always tuning in, it's hard to be a streamer, especially when you're first starting out. Sometimes you may turn on the stream and you go live for 2 or 3 hours and you have nobody show up, or you have one person show up. Like, it can really wear on you. So when you start to get, a few followers, you kind of get complacent and you kind of get content. And you say, okay, I have followers, I have people watching me. Now all I need to do is stream. Well, here's the problem with that. The people that tune in to watch you stream, the people that are on Twitch, like, you're not going to market to people on Twitch. The marketing part comes in on um, via your other social media platforms like Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, and even YouTube to a certain extent. And you direct those people to your Twitch, um, because odds are, no matter what game you're streaming and no matter what time you're streaming, there's probably someone streaming that's more popular than you and who's more well established, because they've been around longer, they have those other social media platforms that are strong, and they're probably going to take those people that would normally come and watch, or that you're aiming to get to watch you. Because if I'm wanting to go watch Call of Duty on Twitch, am I going to watch a professional, or that's got like 24,000 people watching him right now, or am I going to take a chance and watch some some lower subbed streamer and hope that he's good? I'm probably going to go watch the professional. So you're always going to be in competition. So until you establish yourself as one of the big dogs, you can't put all of your eggs into the Twitch basket. And you never should put all your eggs in one basket. You should always be putting out content on all of these platforms.
Yep, agreed. And as a side note, kind of going, you touched briefly on it, that first starting out it's extremely daunting sometimes, especially because multiple streams I've had to where you don't have anybody.
Right.
And I remember back when I very first started, I let that get to me so much that sometimes I would just end stream early or whatever. Two things I did that helped me to fix that. The first one, first and foremost, was I turn off anything that tells me how many viewers are watching me.
Right.
I keep my energy, I keep my demeanor as if somebody is watching me the entire time, because even if it's just one person watching you, like, give them a reason to stay. Because if you can't appreciate one, then you honestly don't deserve 100. That's how I look at that. And you keep your energy up, and honestly, that does great for your morale. You can just kind of focus on enjoying the game, and to me, I'm talking to stream, which probably in reality means I'm sometimes just talking to myself, but it's fine, because at that point, then it's practice. It's like, be funny, be engaging, be interactive. So that way, by the time you get someone that's willing to interact with you, then boom, it's zero effort to keep a flow.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And just to build off of what you said right there, you made the comment, always assume that you have people watching you, whether you do or not. I would even take that one step further and assume you're always streaming for a crowd. Assume you have thousands of people watching you, and let that boost you. Don't set limitations for yourself, because once you do that, you're bound to those limitations, and you're not going to get to where you want to be.
Yeah. And there's a funny little thing, it's all about the mindset you have going in. It doesn't relate to specifically with people with social anxiety, but it's all about how you treat a situation. There was this big Star Wars celebration a couple years back that Mark Hamill spoke at, and essentially he's like, I don't like all this formal stuff, so I'm basically gonna talk to you like you're several thousand of my closest friends, and that we're having the conversation in my living room. The only difference is I won't be serving snacks.
There you go. And that's the mindset you
And
should
I was
have.
like, that's perfect. Like that's actually
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the mindset that you should have always. Anytime you do a stream, you should just set it up to where you're just hanging out with a bunch of friends. Pretend you're just hanging out. Pretend it's a Saturday night or a Friday night. All your friends are over and you're in the living room just gaming, or you're in your man cave, or wherever you play
yep.
games, and you just got all your friends over and you're just logging in some quality hours on the console or on the PC and just go with it. It's streaming, so don't get me wrong, streaming is incredibly hard to do successfully. It is. But you're living in a
Yep.
time right now where it has never been easier to be a professional gamer slash streamer. And the reason I say that is you have so many social platforms where you can distribute your content, it's not even funny. When I started playing games, like
Yep.
actually started playing games, it was Facebook, MySpace, and Twitter was a thought. Like that was it. Now you have, I mean, YouTube was a thing too, but it was not nearly as big as it is now. And now you have Twitch, you have YouTube. For a while, you had Mixer, you have Instagram, Twitter. I don't know if I said Facebook already. You have TikTok, you have Instagram, you have Reddit, LinkedIn, Pinterest. So many social media sites that you can distribute your content on and help build a following. If streaming or being a professional gamer, more so streaming, gaming, I guess, requires a certain amount of gun skill depending on what game you're doing. But for streaming anyway, as long as you don't have the personality of a snail and you have the time and the passion for what you're
Yeah.
doing, you're gonna make it. All you have to do is put in the time and learn some basic marketing things on how to promote your content, and you're gonna make it. I promise. Like, you will succeed. You just have to put in the time because, like I said, it is so easy in the sense that there are so many resources available to you right now to promote your content and get your content in front of millions of people's eyes every single day. And with that being said, two things that I think you need to also do:
Okay.
a couple of content pieces that you can put on YouTube, like make little video segments out of it, especially if you're going to stream Diablo, different types of weapons and armor sets and how they interact in the game. That could be an easy channel for you to distribute a bunch of content. You could even do like speed runs, I'm sure. You could probably figure out a way to do that. You can do a podcast, your own personal podcast for your own channel. And you need a CaverJay brand image. And what I mean by that is if you see, um,
I actually do have a.
oh, you have one?
Oh, finish your sentence.
Well, I was going to say, if you see like Cloud9's emblem, that's Cloud9. If you see um,
Hmm.
Envious, if you see that Envy in the baby blue, that's Team Envious. Like, you need an emblem that people can see, recognize, and say that's CaverJay. If you have one, if that's what you're getting ready to say, then kudos for you. You're
I,
you're
I
right
do
where you need to
have
be.
the first yeah. So the first actual high quality logo for the channel I actually do currently have commissioned.
Right on, right on. Is that displayed
And
somewhere
just
where I can see
building
that?
up from there. But yeah, it's not done yet. Like
Oh,
the
okay.
artist is still working on it. It's almost done though.
Right on, right on. Do you want to share, like, give us a little sneak peek on what that's going to look like?
So the original, if you were to check my Twitch profile right now, you would see this basic kind of almost like a Batman symbol kind of bat. Like that was the inspiration I was drawing from.
Uh-huh.
So it was going to have the bat just kind of front facing, right, 2D. The artist has given me kind of the bat is kind of side angled now, and so it's flying and it's in a circular space, and there's cave formations, So for like the high quality logo, like the bat's actually flying in the cave, and my name is like in the wing of the bat, and so it's almost like got this like 3D look to it,
Okay. Right on.
and it
No,
looks like way
that
better than I ever imagined. But like for like the base,
yeah, no, I mean, I think that'll fit your brand name really well. And I think that'll work out for you
yep,
really well. It's unique, and it's
yep. And I was
specific to
really
your
thinking
name
like
too, so that's good.
yeah, and that's what I wanted, because like I seen a lot of these the logos, and funny enough, this is another thing that Harris Heller touched on, was like, dude, like a lot of these logos, like you got the basic, you got the same kind of letter font, and then it's like 3-color. And I watched that video, and then I started looking at a bunch of other logos. I'm like, oh my god, he's right.
Oh yeah, and it's
so,
basic colors too. Like
so I was like,
it's
yeah. So I
always either
strived.
black, white, blue,
Yeah, it's
red.
not even.
Like it's the basic colors. It's nothing fancy.
That's the thing, and like my artist, bless her heart, she's actually one of the people in my community, and she was also one of my fiance's friends well before she met me, and I just seen that she was drawing one time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like yes, I need to talk to you, because the first artist that I commissioned for the art that I have now, it's not bad, but it doesn't capture what I wanted. And now it's like, oh my gosh, I know a caving artist. Like yes,
So is she
it's like, listen,
is she
this
just
is what I'm
drawing
looking
it and
for.
then someone else is making it virtual, or is she also bringing it to life on the computer
She's
as well?
she's rendered it digitally for me. Um, I seen a work in progress of it a little while back, and I was really excited for it.
Well, that's good. I'm excited to see how it turns out for you, and definitely based on the did you obviously she probably didn't, but does she does she have a fee that she charges you or that she would charge?
Uh, she she's gonna. She was like, she's one of these friends that are like, no, don't worry about it. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Either you're going to quote me a price, or I'm just going to pay you what I think it's worth. And I just about guarantee it's going to be worth more than you'd originally charged. So you might as well just quote me a price.
Well, that's good. So that's that is definitely something, brand images, that every streamer that wants to be taken seriously needs, and that not even that you need, you should just want it because it is specific to your brand,
Yep.
and it's distinguishes you from the rest of the crowd. Um, so if she is
Yeah. And that
willing
was,
to at the when she's finished with yours, I'm sure that we can push some more business her way.
yeah, no, definitely. I'll definitely bring that up to her. She's in the process of like, I think, moving right now. And so it's kind of, and plus with everything else going on, like the project's in flux along with everything else.
Right.
But yeah, once things settle down, depending on how, if she doesn't make herself too busy, I definitely think she'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Always down to help a local person, especially one that, you know, if especially someone that can deliver good quality content. Now that's when you want that's when you want to worry about the quality of your content, is when it comes to your brand image. You don't want, a stick
Yep.
person holding a crown. Like that's I mean, I don't know. We could probably make that a brand for someone, but
Well, and
you
that
get the point.
what's oh my god. Uh I just have something to tell you later, actually. But
Stay tuned for the end of the
so,
podcast,
and
guys,
again,
where
kind
we
of going
may
back to my
see
first
some very risque things.
but
I swear, if
yeah,
you mention
so the first
something
artist
about
I
Anthem at
commissioned,
the end of this
great.
podcast, I'm probably going to drive to wherever you are and punch you.
What? No. No, I promise. But like, kind of going back to my first artist, like, yeah, at the time it was just to get some art on my profile. Like, I had an idea of what I wanted, and whilst it looked, it looked okay. I knew it wasn't what I was going to stick with because ultimately I want to, but at the same time to have something there that I can upgrade from was important. And now I'm to the stage now to where like, yes, I want the important. I want this detail in there. And of course, that's the thing with artists. For those of you that are listening, don't budget hunt. Like look at quality first, and then look at what you can afford with them. Don't try to don't expect good art at a bargain price because just good luck.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Art is one of those things you're going to get what you pay for. And if you want a
Yep.
crappy design, look for something cheap. Um, yeah, no, I think that is a great point to make, and that is 100% accurate.
That's the thing that annoys me the most is like, I have a couple of artist friends who do Twitch logos and stuff, and plus I just see these stories of these other artists that I follow, and they all sing the same song, and that song is called "Quit Asking Me to Either A work for free or B like no, that this is worth this much, not $2 or whatever."
Uh, yeah, be concerned if the person you're asking to make a logo for you, be concerned if they're haggling the price, because odds are they're probably not going to deliver quality content to you.
Yeah.
Most of these people, they know what their content is worth and they don't budge on it because there's plenty of people that are willing to pay it
Nor should
because
they.
because exactly, nor should they, because it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy invested to make these logos. Um, so love thy creator and pay them what they're worth. Give them the money because they're working hard to make this emblem for you.
Yeah, because I mean, it ultimately, so you have the one of two scenarios, right? The first one is the goal that we strive for, in which case the logo is just going to assist you in basically paying for itself because it
Oh yeah,
magnifies your
100%,
brand.
100%.
Um, or two, you know, and this is what I would deem the worst case scenario is you just have a really cool piece of art for something that you were passionate about. Like
Yeah.
you can't lose.
No. And think of it as an investment. Think of it as an asset towards growing your streaming or growing your image. You wouldn't want to associate your image, your personal gaming image, or your personal image, period, with poor images or poor content. You want to
Yeah.
highlight yourself, not, be like, oh, I'm okay with whatever and blah blah blah. Like you don't want that. You want top notch when it comes to things like this. Jay, I appreciate you being here. We're close to an hour and a half now. So I think this is going to be a good stop. Go ahead real quick. Give a shout out to all of your social media handles. Let everybody know where they can find you at, what your name is, how they can follow you, and the description with the links, or well, the links rather, for all of CaverJay's social media platforms will be in the description box along with ours. If you enjoyed your podcast today, if you enjoyed hearing what we had to say, give us a like, follow, subscribe, stay tuned so you can get all the up to date information when we post new content. And go ahead, take it away, and let the people know where they can find you.
All right. Well, thanks again for having me on the show, man. And yeah, guys. So obviously over on Twitch, twitch.tv/CaverJay, Monday through Wednesday, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. You can also find me on Twitter at CaverJay. And though I didn't mention it, but since I got put on the spot, I will endeavor to improve. I do, in fact, have an Instagram handle. It is also CaverJay. In addition to gaming content stuff on there, I also dabble in a little bit of photography, so that's usually where that content ends up. And so yeah, the YouTube will be coming out within the next week or two, and we'll hopefully going to have some good stuff that you guys are going to enjoy on that. And Matt, thanks again, man. It was great to great to be on the show.
Yeah, no worries. And for everyone that's wanting to follow CaverJay on other platforms. As he makes his other social media accounts, he will definitely make sure to add them to his Twitch stream, and he will tweet about them, like especially when he comes out with his YouTube and when he creates his Facebook page. And we are all excited to see that emblem that's being created as we speak. Brother, it was good having you on here. If you ever need anything or you ever have any advice that you want to run by me or get my thoughts or opinions on how to promote something, you always have a direct line of communication to me. Feel free to pass it along and I'll do my best to help you. And for all those listening, like, comment, subscribe to aX-m Podcast and aX-m Gaming as well as CaverJay. And we will see you on the next episode.